welcome you to this simplified advanced mathematics tutorial for beginners. And today's topic is going to be fractions. So before we delve into the main tutorial, let's look at the objective of this tutorial. So we expect that by the end of this tutorial, we should be able to, one, describe what is meant by fractions. Secondly, list various ways to represent non-whole numbers. And lastly, you should be able to solve various problems on fractions. So let's look at what is meant by fractions. So meaning of fraction, we said fraction means a part of a whole. It is a representation of a part that makes a whole object or number. A fraction usually has two parts separated by a line. So the number at the top of the line is known as the numerator, while the number at the bottom of the line is known as the denominator. You can see the figure A. You have the A on B, that is A over B. So the A represents the numerator while the B represents the denominator. Now we said the numerator shows how many equal parts of the whole are taken. That is the denominator shows the total number of equal parts the whole number is divided into. And look at various ways to express fractions. You can see you have the A over B, that's A upon B, which is the same thing as saying A slash B. That is 1 over 2 equals to 1 slash 2. So don't get it confused. Anytime you see fraction expressed in any of that form, they are the same, they mean the same thing. So let's look at this example. Example 1. It said if a whole number is divided into 5 equal parts and we take, let's say, 2 out of the equal parts, we can represent it as a fraction as thus. That's 2 over 5. So let's go. The interpretation means that the 2 parts out of a total parts of 5, or a portion of 2 out of 5. So it simply means that 2 out of 5. That is when you divide the whole portion into 5, you are taking out 2 out of that 5. That is what 2 over 5 interprets. That is what it means. So let's look at the second example. It said that if a pizza is divided into 5 equal portions, each placed in a plate and served in a meeting, each plate would contain 1 over 5. That is, if you share a pizza into 5 equal parts and you place each of them in a plate and you serve them round in a meeting, each plate is going to contain 1 out of the 5 that the pizza was divided into. And look at this third example. We said if there are total of 9 pupils in a class and 4 out of them are boys, then the fraction of boys is 4 over 9, while the remaining fraction are girls. That is 5 over 9. So let's look at representation of non-whole numbers. We said non-whole numbers can be represented as fractions, decimals, or percentages. So you can represent non-whole numbers as either fraction, decimal, or percentages. Now let's look at fraction representation. So fraction representation has been shown earlier in figure A. The proper way to present a fraction is in form x over y. So where x represents the numerator while y represents the denominator. You can see various examples, about 3 examples below. Example 1 said in 4 over 5 the numerator is 4 while the denominator is 5. This simply means 4 parts when the whole is divided into 5 equal parts. Example 2. In 2 over 3 the numerator is 2 while the denominator is 3. This simply means 2 parts when the whole is divided into 3 equal parts. And the last example, which is example 3. In 5 over 9 the numerator is 5 while the denominator is 9. That simply means 5 parts when the whole is divided into 9 equal parts. So these are the examples of fractions. So let's look at decimal representation. So let's said in this format, the number is represented as a decimal fraction. So you can see the example there. It said 4/5 can be converted into a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. Thus, 4/5 equals to 0.5. If you don't understand how this is being gotten, you just hold on to the next lesson, to the next tutorial, where we are going to be dealing with conversion of fractions. That's conversion from one form of fractions to another. So the decimal fraction will be dealt with in the subsequent tutorial. Now let's look at the third one, which is a percentage representation. So when a decimal fraction is multiplied by 100, it will be converted to a percentage. And you can see the three examples there below. We have 4/5, which equals to 0.5. If we multiply 0.5 by 100%, we get 50%. Example 2, you have 3/4, which is equals to 0.75. If we multiply 0.75 by 100%, we get 75%. And the third one, we have 1/2, which equals to 0.5. If we multiply 0.5 by 100%, we will get 50%. Now you need to take note that 1/2 means half, and half means 50%. Now let's look at fraction on number line. Fraction number line. So fraction can be depicted on number line as shown below. You can see the various examples. You have three figures below. You have the figure 1, where you have is equal to 1. They said if a straight line is divided into 2, it can be represented on the number line as in figure 1. So when you divide a straight line to 2, the midpoint is going to be 1/2. So from 0 you have 1/2, which is half. Then you have 1. Then in figure 2, so if a straight line is divided into 3 parts, it can be represented on the number line as in the figure 2. You can see the figure 2 there. You have to see a straight line divided into 3 equal parts. So from 0 you have 1/3, which is the first part. Then you move on to 2/3, which is the second part, and you move on to 1. So you have 0, 1/3, 2/3, and 1. And look at the third figure. When the straight line is divided into 4 parts, it can be represented as in figure 3. So when you divide a straight line into 4 equal parts, you have what you have in figure 3. That is from 0, you have 1/4, you have 2/4, you have 3/4, and 1. So if you divide straight line, that is what you get. So let's look at some solved examples, some solved questions. You have one or two questions, about 2 questions there. So question number 1 says convert the following fractions into decimal. So you have 1a, which is 1/2, we have to convert into decimal. Then 1b, you have 3/5, and 1c, you have 7/10. Also question 2, illustrate your diagram the following fractions. So you have 2a, 1/2. You have to illustrate it with diagram. 2b, you have 3/5, and 2c, you have 3/8. So let's look at the solutions to those questions. So for the first one, this is question 1a. Then you have 1a, which equals to 0.5. And 1b, you have 3/5, which equals to 0.6. And 1c, which is 7/10, you have 0.7. As we said earlier, that conversion from proper fraction to decimal fraction will be dealt with in the subsequent tutorial. So if you don't understand how that is being converted, just hold on to the next tutorial. We are going to be discussing the conversion from one form of fraction to another, and other types of forms of fractions. So if you look at the second question, which we are to illustrate with diagrams the following fractions. So question 2a, you have 1/2. That is when you divide a square into 2, each part contains 1/2. That's half of the total size, which is the square. So you have each part contains 1/2. Then the second one, that is 2b, we have to represent 3/5 with a diagram. So we have a rectangle that is being divided into 5 equal portions. A rectangle that is being divided into 5 equal portions, and the first part contains 1/5. The second part contains 2/5. Third part, that is 3/5. So out of when we divided the rectangle into 5 equal portions, and 3 parts or 3 portions were shaded to represent to depict 3/5, and the last one, which is 7/10. 7/10. Oh, sorry. The last one is 3/8. And pardon me, the last one is 3/8. So we use a circle to represent this. That is a circle that is being divided into 8 equal parts, and 3 out of the 8 parts were shaded to depict 3/10, to show 3/10. So that is simple way to represent or to is a fraction with diagram. So thanks for listening. In the next tutorial